Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another video, and this is a paid request for Adam. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, PayPal is usually the best bet. Do have a Patreon and a Cash App. People have asked about those. Those links are down below in the info box. It could be any review, re-review, topic reaction, commentary, tier list ranking, video game playthrough, an hour full play, whatever the case may be. I'll get to as soon as I can. For those who sent them, thank you. I really do appreciate it. And today, Adam wanted me to talk about Beethoven from 1992, which is a film that I might have seen when I was a kid, but I did not have a lot of big memories on it, if that was the case. I know this became a very successful film. I mean, technically it was written by John Hughes, but from what I understand, he left for another studio. But they said you could use it, but change my name, so his name's not on it, but technically he did write it. It's directed by Brian Levant, who did Jingle All the Way, which is a fun Arnold Schwarzenegger Christmas comedy. He did The Flintstones, which was a huge hit with John Goodman. He also did The Spy Next Door with Jackie Chan, which I'm not a fan of. But this film made like $57 million in the US. It made $147 million worldwide. And it got like a ton of sequels. It got a Beethoven 2, which also I think has Charles Grodin. I think the cast returns for that. But then they did a Beethoven 3 and 4, and I think those had Judge Reinhold in it. They did a Beethoven 5, and that might have had Jonathan Silverman from Weekend at Bernie's. And then they did like 3 other other films. I forget what the hell they were called. So yeah, I think, or 2 of them. Like there's like 7 or 8 of these movies. Go figure. But obviously, I mean, these films, they made money at the box office, and when it was strictly video, they made enough money to get another one made. And this does have a hell of a cast when you look at it. You got Charles Grodin, may he rest in peace, from Midnight Run with him and Robert De Niro on other films. Charles Grodin, always nice to see him in there, talented guy. You got Bonnie Hunt, who I remember in Jumanji with Robin Williams. Oliver Platt is in the film, who's in Lake Placid and the 90s Three Musketeers movie. You got Stanley Tucci, who's been in quite a few stuff. Dean Jones is your villain, as his evil veterinarian, not veteran, but veterinarian. And Dean Jones, he was in these Disney movies way back in the day, including The Love Bug and other stuff. So in this case, he's playing a villain. Also, like David Duchovny's in this. I'm like, David, what the hell? I didn't know he was in this. Or I did, I completely forgot. But yeah, David Duchovny's in this. So this is 1992, so this is before... X-Files was like 93, 94, so like right before the cusp of that. But I guess to be fair, around this time, he was doing a lot of these big parts. I mean, he was in, I think... Was it Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, or... I can't remember. He was in some of these other bit parts. California, that film was around this time with a K with Brad Pitt. But yeah, the story of the film. Oh yeah, and the kids. I even recognize some of the kids, like the middle kid, the boy. He was one of the kids that'd be on that sitcom Step by Step that was on ABC for years with Family Matters and Full House, the TGIF lineup. Thank God it's Friday. Which that takes me back. I didn't watch a lot of Step by Step. I do remember Family Matters and Full House. Then the little girl, Sarah Rose Carr, I remember her because she was in Kindergarten Cop. She was the one that told Arnold, "I'm not a policeman, I'm a princess." Get back! Get back! Okay. So she plays the youngest daughter here, and there's 3 kids. The oldest daughter looked familiar, but I don't remember what she was in. So the story is, so it has a lot of recognizable people in the cast. Stanley Tucci and Oliver Platt are bumbling guys that it seems like John Hughes wrote a lot of these type of characters because of Home Alone and how successful that was. So you had these two guys. You had Baby's Day Out, where you had three bumbling guys. Just became kind of an occurring theme, and they are out to steal animals. Oliver Platt and Stanley Tucci, because this veterinarian Dean Jones does these animal experiments. While these two are stealing these dogs, they bumble around, they cause the alarm to spark up, they're in a hurry, and a couple dogs get out. One of them is a puppy, which is a Saint Bernard. He's able to hide, get found out, and he's in a pet shop. Well, actually, no, at that point, he was in a pet shop, he got stolen, he got out, and then he's wandering around until he wanders into Charles Grodin's house. Charles Grodin is the neat freak, and he's a workaholic, and we can't have a dog, we can't have a puppy, but the kids and the mom want it, so he allows to keep it. Then you have a montage of Beethoven, and yes, they do show how he gets that name, where one of them's playing the piano, and he's barking. And the montage, it's, them having to buy a lot of dog food, muddy prints on the floor, messy beds, pissing in shoes, all sorts of stuff. Now, it's a pretty short film. It's an hour and 20-some minutes. It kind of goes the way you expect. He doesn't like the dog. Something happens. The dog is gone. The family hates him. They get the dog back. He's a bit more tolerant on the dog. That type of typical thing. One thing again, if I saw this, I don't remember this. I guess it would be spoilers. Starting now. I did not know that the bad guys, the thing they want to test, because they need a big skull, so they want Beethoven. They want to test ammo. Ammo from a gun to see what damage it does. So the reason Dean Jones tricks the family, more so Charles Grodin, he pretends to be bitten, he puts fake blood on him. Oh, you gotta put him down, take him to my place, my shop, my veterinarian place. Because they're going to do a test where they're going to shoot Beethoven in the fucking head with this ammo to test this bullet. I completely forgot about that. I'm like, that's really dark. I don't know if that constitutes like a big tonal shift, but damn, 90s were, some dark family comedies, man. I don't blow his damn head off to test a bullet. I mean, even in family films in the 90s, villains were hardcore. Jesus. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I thought the film was fine for a family film. I thought that the music was well done by Randy Edelman. Very cheery piano. And just the whole story is very cheery. And I don't remember watching this film a lot when I was a kid, but I remember this music. So I don't know if this was used in other movies, or it's making me reminding me of other films, or if it was used in other stuff. But like this score with the piano, again, the very cheery, it just sounded so familiar. Again, it's weird for a film that, again, I don't remember much of, but that score really popped out. Charles Grodin is definitely a big plus. The way he delivers his lines, he's really good at being very like antsy and very irritated, and when his kid goes, I want to go and get karate lessons, and like this kid already has a green belt, and then Croden's like, how about you skip the lessons and I'll just get you a belt. Oh, I got dog drew on my pants. And Bonnie Hunt's like, well, just change your pants. Yeah, but if I change my pants, it'll screw my time, it'll screw my routine, then I gotta change my shirt. If I change my shirt, then I gotta change my shoes. If I change my shoes. And she's like, just change your pants. Like, I thought Charles Grodin and Bonnie Hunt worked fairly well together. At the end, the dog, I mean, I'm not a dog guy, I'm more of a cat guy. But I mean, as a puppy, he was very adorable. As a grown dog, he's very big, but he does seem like a very nice, guy who doesn't mean anything bad. I mean, to be fair, when I was a kid, we had a Saint Bernard like that. Passed away a bit too soon, Sally, but so I mean, I still remember being a nice dog. So there's a bit fond memories of that. But that was so long ago. I mean, that was, I think, before I was even in middle school. So, or maybe during middle school. So, been a long time since I even thought of that. I mean, like I said, granted, it kind of follows your typical tropes, and there's not a whole lot of stuff that it does, fairly unique. Okay, other than the villain's plan. The kids are fine. The older daughter likes this boy, and the dog gets the boy to come over to her, and they talk a bit, and she's thankful to the dog. The boy's picked on by bullies, and the dog steers them off, and, the boy likes the dog. There's a babysitter that doesn't know what she's doing, and the little girl almost drowns, and the dog saves her. So you have these moments that the dog shows how important he is to the family. Again, the dog versus all. I mean, that was done before. You had Turner and Hooch. You had K9. I would say I like K9 more, because I think because you had that dog, type of comedy. But then you have this action element, so there's a bit more to it. Turner Hooch, I may put that above this, although the ending's a bit sad, but... But yeah, as a family film, it worked fine. It was cool to see all these actors in the same movie. David Duchovny, I think she was in... I think Everybody Loves Raymond, I believe. But they play two people that seem like they want to deal with Charles Grodin's business, which is with air fresheners. But then you can tell they're very scummy people, and they treat Bonnie Hunt poorly, but Charles Grodin goes along with it because it's his dream to get, this big deal. So the dog goes around the chairs, and, very zany stuff. He pulls it. The chairs are pulled, then they stop and they flip around, bat flip, and they land. Again, very zany stuff, similar to kind of Home Alone type of things. I was kind of surprised that early on we saw Stanley Tucci and Oliver Platt as these two bumming guys. I guess I thought they were going to be a much bigger part of the movie, but they're really not. I mean, they show up at those beginning portions. And then other than maybe one or two scenes with Dean Jones, you never really see... Well, there's one part where they get this little dog who Beethoven was friends with. But you don't really see a whole lot of them until I guess bits in the third act, so... And I'm a bit surprised you didn't see more of them. A lot of the kids, like, you think their little subplots will go further. Like, okay, the kid's going to start defending himself, so he doesn't need the dog to help him, or the stuff with the girl and this boy that she likes. Other than, like, a phone call at the end, that's really all it goes for. That's all it really... Which, I mean, maybe that's fine. Maybe that's a good thing, to not have too many useless subplots. make it slow down the movie. But again, it's kind of just Charles Grodin being somewhat annoyed by this dog from time to time, either because it gets on his bed and muddies it up, or he's trying to sleep and it lits behind him and he thinks it's his wife. Granted, I don't know why you think your wife would be licking your back of your neck like that. Makes me wonder what kind of sex life you have. But he turns around and he freaks out. You get in there. Oh, that's how you get out. You dug a hole in there. Okay, I'll fix that. But then he just sprinklers on him. So it's nothing that I thought was tremendously hilarious. It's not something that I will probably remember a whole lot in the months going forward. But like I said, it's because of the cast, because it's a pretty short film, because of the cheery musical motifs, and like I say, it's cool. Oh, there's David Duchovny and there's Charles Grodin. So that made it at least watchable to me. And again, the villain's plan is very dastardly and very pretty dark, which was surprising. And then how it ends, long story short, spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. Again, Dean Jones makes it look like he got bit. Charles Grodin tastes the dog. The family says no. I do like this bit where Charles Grodin, I thought this was a very nice bit, where Charles Grodin's taking the dog and he says, you know, when I was a kid, my dad took our dog to be put down and never forgave him. You know, I don't really want to do this. You know that, right? And then when he leaves the dog there, he looks at him and is like, you know, you're my dog too. I thought that was nice. I thought Charles Grodin really pulled it off, and I don't know, in the hands of someone lesser actor, lesser comedian, it'd probably come off as very meh or forgettable, while again, Grodin helps pull that off. He comes home. Of course, the kids hate him. Bonnie Hunt says, you know what, we should look into. Our daughter said, there's no way Beethoven would have done that. Let's look into it. Let's investigate a bit more. They go in. They realize something's up. He realizes Dean Jones is lying because he has no bite marks. Gives him a good punch to the face. They follow him to where this animal testing's at. One was a pretty horrifying moment where the kids drive the car in and there's all these hypodermic needles. They fly off and like 13 of them embed in Dean Jones's chest. I'm like, okay, he's dead. Like literally, there are horror movies where people die from this. 13, but granted, you could say they were Home Alone, like every scene or every other scene with the bandits. The wet bandits, they'd be dead. But this is like 13 fucking hypodermic needles. He became a pincushion, and I'm like, oh, he's dead. He's got to be dead. Of course he's not, because it's a family film. They let the dogs out. I know, not the song, which I hate that. I always hated that fucking song. Who let the dogs out? Who gives a shit? Just don't play that song again. Thankfully, that song was not around for this. Although, I guarantee you, if that song was around, it would have been used in this scene. Thank God it was not around. Although, I would not be surprised if it was in one of those damn sequels. The dogs chase Stanley Tucci and Oliver Platt. They think they escaped, but there's Rottweilers in this junkyard. They get attacked off screen. They get celebrated on TV, and then the last bit is them in bed, Charles Grodin, Bonnie Hunt, and you realize they took a lot more dogs home. Although I don't think that's a part of the sequel, so I don't know, or I don't know, maybe it is. I don't know. I don't think I've seen any of those other Beethoven films. Again, there's like 7 or 8 of them. There's like the official 5, and then there's like 2 or 3 more. So, but I mean, it would have been nice to have one more scene between Charles Grodin and Beethoven. Like, hey, I'm sorry that I doubted you, boy, or hey, welcome to the family, or something of that nature. Where maybe he kind of unlocked that bit that was a kid again when he had a dog back in the day, and maybe it was like, okay, let me get dirty one time and play with him on the bed or in the mud, or just something, just some little one more thing to kind of really encapsulate that somewhat arc for Charles Grodin's character. We'll like to see that one more bit. But like I said, it's a film that is at the end of the day fine. Like I said, good cast, pretty decent score, hour and 20 some minutes, so it's not too long. Yes, I mean there were piss jokes, but that's when the dog's a puppy, and they don't overload on it. They don't go back to that dad over and over and over again. They don't pummel into the ground, which I did appreciate it. Pretty much when he's fully grown, he doesn't really. I don't remember any of those type of jokes, which I'm surprised by if that's the case. Unless there may be something I don't remember. And yeah, it's fine. It was fine for family entertainment. Charles Grodin and the cast definitely helped matters. And the dog, I mean, it's a lovable enough dog, so that helps too. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.